He said, I baptize you with water, but there's one coming after me that will baptize you with fire. Why fire? Because nothing remains in its present form when fire touches it. If you have made a promise that you don't keep, what are you? You are a liar.
Father, forgive them when they start exploiting their friends. Father, forgive them for backdoing their mans. Father, forgive them, I'ma just pray they repent. Hope that no favor ain't fair. I'm the reason they stopping.
God said, if my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive your sins and heal your land. So don't look to them, look to God, look to yourself, break your covenant with hell and death, then make a covenant with Black America and let's help it.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Another edition of Passing the Torch. Today, a special day. I have my son on the show today. Long time coming. He probably should have been the first guy on the show. But, we say the best for last. This young man, when I met him, I told him he was one of the strongest young men I've ever met in my life, mentally, sure. And it still stands true to this day. So hearing his story, I'm sure you guys would agree with me. I don't know where to start. He got so many different accolades. Motivational speaker, actor, has been in several movies, 6 or 7, I think, maybe more. He has a nosy neighbor skit he's done on TikTok that's viral. Millions of people have watched it, followed it. He also has a program here. He was actually dean at school. Recently, he started a program here in Ohio called Passing the Torch that I'm a part of, and which I'm elated. I mean, this is like a dream for me, being an older guy, being able to truly pass the torch. He's the definition of passing the torch, and that it works. As young men, older men pass to younger men, and the results you may get. This guy is a PhD. He likes to tell everybody he's the greatest, or what is it?
The greatest foster kid to ever live.
Yeah, the greatest foster kid that ever lived. I like that statement because in my eyes he is. So I'm gonna give a little bit about Mr. Doctor, Moss. Just a little bit of how I met him years ago. I believe he was 13 years old when I met him. A good friend of mine, Trevor, teacher at high school, happened to give me a call and say, and funny, mad personality, just an overall joy to be around. But there is a slight little issue. Always in trouble, fighting. Reason being, addicted to drugs. Guys at the school tease him about what mom has done to them, drugs. Unfortunately, that led to him attacking these guys, kicked out of school, putting time out or what have you. So I took on the task of mentoring this young man. And after meeting him, it was love at first sight. Just a good overall person, funny, speaks in different dialects, can act, just an overall entertainer. But most of all, he's his own person. Always have been. I've never seen him try to emulate anybody else. He's just him. He's Deontay, and I'm proud to know him and been able to father him from 13 to 20-something years old. He stayed with me, went to college, master's, PhD. The boy just don't stop everything. He's just, I'm just lost, but I'm going to, that was just my rendition of meeting him and having the pleasure to father him throughout the years and what he's become. So without further ado, we have Dr. DeAndre Moss.
I like that. I made it to passing the torch. We here.
What's up, Deontay?
Man, what's up, sir? Long time coming.
You
I'm
got-
sitting with my father on passing the torch. Quit playing with me.
Yes, sir. So Deontay, man, well, I like to call him DeAndre. Y'all, his name is Deontay, but I don't never call people by their right name. And funny joke, real quick. I mean, my pastor, when we first started going to her church, couldn't pronunciate his name right, so she would call him Dante. And she would look at me like, I'm calling it right. I'm like, yeah. He's like, no, it's Deontay. I'm like, no, it's not. And it was just driving crazy. Like, quit telling people, it's DeAndre, it's Deontay. So, anywho, man, you heard a little bit about what I said,
Yes, sir.
how I met you and whatever. And I told you it was a match made from jump. Like, Deontay, you was that guy. You know what I mean? Just this overall flavor. And I didn't go to mention other stuff, but I will before this podcast is over with. Just some of the challenges that were involved with this. But what made you buy into, I wasn't your father, biological father. And I mean, you came right in. You never, ever really gave me any problem. It was just like, yes, sir, no, sir. I'm going to do it. If I had to reprimand you about something, it was never really met with resistance. You know what I mean? It was just like, you know what? I'm bought in. And I'm rocking with him. What you say? I mean, how do you describe how we met?
It was at a time that it was needed for me. I think you were God sent, Godfather sent to be who you were supposed to be in my life. The only thing I knew growing up, coping with all the stuff that I was going through, I knew that Jesus loved me, and that's only because my nana taught me that from a very early age.
Okay.
I think what drew me to you the most when we connected was I've never in my life seen a man of God the way you serve God in the community and the way I just had never seen that. The way you love God, the way I living with you, seeing you be with God, serve God, just did something to me, and I knew I needed that in my life, and that's what I love the most about meeting you and knowing you, because I've never seen nobody love God the way you love God.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. So I know the mainest, like you started to stay with me. You came into the program, was with the House Emmanuel, and so it was an incident about a gun that ended you staying with me. You want to talk about that story? Like what happened?
Yeah. So my mom, my mom was living with her boyfriend who became her pimp. He was molesting my sister, prostituting my sister, and prostituting my mom in the same house. And my sister had came up missing. She got caught in a sex trafficking and was gone. And we didn't know what happened to her. So I thought that he had something to do with it. So I had got this gun that I had stole from an aunt, a great aunt of mine. And I had tucked it because I said, he's not going to take nobody else away from me. I'm not going to watch him hurt my mama no more, or my other sister, feeling like a protector. So I said, next time something happens and I see it, I'm going to end his career. And so I had the gun tucked till that day. And they came, he hit my mom, went upstairs, I got the gun. I was going, this is the only time you ever going to hear this story. But he had an iron, I had a gun, he clocked me with the iron, I lost. I don't know how you lose a fight with an iron versus a gun. But if you ain't never got hit with an iron, you don't know how I feel. But he hit me with the iron. My mom called the police on me.
Okay.
Devastated me at the moment, but I know it was a God thing. The only reason why I know it was a God thing, because if I would have killed that man, I wouldn't be where I am today. But my mom made a call to you because I had dipped out. And you suggested it'd be better if I come stay with you for a little bit, and she agreed because of the tension in the home. I don't think I ever left after that.
Actually, so from my house, I think I had a 2-bedroom sky rise. So it was definitely a bachelor place. it wasn't equipped for kids. So eventually, I got a group home. I started a group home, and he ended up staying in my group home. I don't even think it was a full year, was it? Or was it?
No, it was a little bit. No, it wasn't a year because
Because I ended up
you was in
moving
transition too. You
yeah.
was getting a new place and
Yeah.
a new place. Yeah.
So I had him stay in the group home for not even a year until I transitioned, bought a house, and it was him and another young man that was with me, and but it was a blessing to have them at the group home because they was my regular. They kept all the other kids in check. Everybody respected him and another kid named Don Parks, and they kind of kept everybody in check. If people disrespected me, they had to see Mr. Moss and Mr. Parks. It was just, and not that I was warranting that. I mean, I wasn't typically there, and it would happen so fast that I remember one time we was coming from skating. One of the kids was filing in the back, cussing me out or saying something, and I'm driving the car, and before I could even try to de-escalate the situation, Deontay done pop. He had these one hitter quitters, boy, that I ain't never seen nobody put people to sleep like this young man. But I mean, flatten this kid's nose like to his face. We made him take his hand off his nose. His nose was actually flat to his face. I had to take him to emergency. And it was just like that. They just protected me, protected the staff, and it almost came to a point I didn't want them to lead the group on because I'm like, man, they helped me so much, but I knew they didn't want to be, labeled in the group homes or whatever. They wanted a, regular house. So they eventually stayed with me, and it took off from there. I mean, Deontay has been in all kind of. I mean, where did it start? I mean, he started excelling. I actually one thing that I understand when we're dealing with kids or youth is that a lot of times we're victims of the environment and having to compete with other kids in inner city schools is more than just personality. It's more so your wardrobe, what type of girls like you, what have you. And I wanted to take that away from him and the other kids that I had that let me move them out to suburban schools because one thing about white school, mixed school, what have you, it ain't necessarily about the outfit. It's more so about your character. The type of kid he was, I'm like, I know they're gonna love him. Of course, he moved him out to Springfield. School, and he just soared from just grades off the Richter. Went from all Fs to like all A's. Um, just a lot of personality, ran track, did a lot of different things in the community. Eventually, um, went to college. Um, you want to talk about your college experience, like the college? Even
I
when
had
you
to
went
figure
over
it
to
out. I had to figure it out. It was rough at first because when I went to college, when I was in the inner city schools, because of my behavior issues, I, you know, I think more in the inner city schools or public schools, it's kind of like you do the work together, and that's how you go. But in the suburban school that I went to, it was more they challenge you more college ready courses. So I was able to learn a lot of stuff. For what I think is preparing me for the University of Toledo. But when I got there, I was still trying to figure it out. I had never really been on my own. I always had you, you know what I'm saying? But this is staying in the dorms, getting an apartment and just navigating, trying to figure that out, which I think built me a lot. I think college was one of the best experiences I ever had. I got to study abroad, travel the world, stuff like that. But then I got to kick it a little bit. Started working for clubs and stuff like that, getting a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Got on academic probation, had to come back, fix that, and all that stuff. But I think it was overall a great experience, and I think a lot for me being able to have my college paid for too because I was a big up for me, and I think that's what made me go to the next level, the next level, and the next level because I had some assistance, which everybody don't get assistance for college. That's one of the reasons why they don't go. But it was really experience that molded me, and I knew your experience from college, the stories you used to tell me, how much fun you had in college, and how you played football and the things you did. So I wanted to have my own experience in college too, which I think really molded it the beginning of my adult years, and then we ended up working together in schools again, and so that kind of laid my path for what I'll be doing for the next 20 or so.
So when you got out of college, you graduated, and you know what you wanted to do with your life?
Not officially. I just knew what I was doing. I was already doing serving in the schools. So like, it was like what I was doing. So I just kept doing it. But then I got better and excelled at it, and then I wanted to do some act. When I first went to college, I went for to be a pediatrician, but I had to have a 3.8 GPA, and then I had a 3.7.
Okay.
And I was like, ooh, maybe let me let's go be an actor.
Right. Right.
2.0.
Right.
So I ended up changing my major to broadcast and communication. I had a minor in theater, and so that's what I did. But then that got me into the acting and the stuff like that. But then just being in those school programs and being behavior coach and doing the mentoring and motivational speaking at the schools we had at. I think it was George Phillips Academy at the time. Toledo Preparatory Academy. Got me. Yeah. All that.
So would you say, like, I mean, because you grew up in the inner city, you know what I mean, and I don't know if you claimed any sets or
I couldn't.
anything.
I lived literally 10
Okay.
different foster homes,
Okay.
4 different group homes.
Okay.
So like I literally lived in every part of Toledo or the surrounding area. So I couldn't claim nothing, and I'm glad I didn't. I was versatile. I was allowed anywhere because I was basically from it. I lived everywhere.
Right. Got you. So okay, that was. I mean, that makes sense. But I mean, as Scott, because you were at Scott, how many years?
3.
When you came with me, so you was there 3 years before I took you to Springfield?
Yeah, because
Okay.
remember my credit situation, because I started off with the trouble,
Yeah.
but I was trying to fix it,
Yeah.
but I was trying to graduate on time.
Okay.
But I didn't graduate on time because my credits were so messed up. That's one of the reasons why I advocate for youth now and letting them know that it's better to get your grades up early so you have some leniency to fall on when you get older. Because my grades were so bad at the early stages, I was trying to fix it at the end, but they were so low that I end up graduating finally after 5 years, a 0.7 GPA. I was the lowest in my class. And I remember because the valedictorian had a 4.7. I said, this dude got a whole 4.0 more than me.
Yeah.
But I was the bottom of my class when
That's
I graduated at Springfield. But I needed the credit system because if I would have stayed in the public, I wouldn't have had enough credits.
Okay, gotcha.
But I did graduate, and now I'm Dr. Moss. Quit playing with me.
Dr. Moss, PhD, you know what I'm talking about? And that's, I mean, this show is really, you know, a testament of what I consider real men. Like, I watched you grow from a kid, I mean, to a man. You know what I'm saying? And the different obstacles you had that I never saw you use any excuse. Like, you was not an excuse maker. If you got it wrong, you got it wrong. You owned it, and you move forward. And I tell people a lot all the time is that there's no such thing as failure other than quitting. If you quit, you fail. If you don't quit, winning does not expire. It ain't a time clock that says, well, at 12 o'clock, 2027, if you don't have it all figured out, it's a wrap. It's not, that ain't how life works. You keep going. And people say, oh, that brother's lucky. But it seems as if the people that do the most work practice the hardest, stay after and do more reps. They seem to be the luckiest people. So leading me to believe it's not really luck. It's hard work, no matter how talented. Because I'm gonna be honest with you. Initially, I knew you would be great. I didn't know how great you was gonna be, but somebody else stood out more than you because they gave me everything that I asked. I mean, just and I'm like, it scared me. Like, this dude was just so, like, he was ready. It just seemed ready, and you seemed like you was just, you know what I'm saying? I'm cool. I'm just like cracking jokes. I'm gonna be cool. You wasn't really moving in that vein, like grown vein. You know what I'm saying? You was being your age. This particular kid was acting grown. Like, this brother was just on it, just mimicking. And so you wasn't the chosen one. And then I don't know where I saw the shift happen. When I saw you in your own lane, like, this brother is about to be phenomenal. And I'm not sure what point that was. I'm sure it was like probably after college. Because you started, I want to say it was before you started the program at Leverett with Colburn.
Oh yeah, push. Oh, but
It was before
Coach's
that.
Corner.
Coach's Corner. Coach's
first,
Corner. Yeah. So, but it was something before that I saw it, and I'm like, yeah, Deontay, he a special. He's a special dude that he's gonna take this to another level. And I saw you. You've already surpassed me. I don't have no PhD. I ain't even. I tried it, and then I got into this class. It's called it was a psychology class. And I was doing it online. I said, man, I couldn't sleep, dude. I was going to sleep thinking about these numbers that, like, this has nothing to do with life. I've been living for 40 years at this point. This don't make sense to me. So I stopped. So I'm just, I ain't made it to that level yet, but
you have. You do it. You legacy. This legacy from you.
and I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Because I do look at it like that. Y'all an extension of me.
That's one of the first things you ever told me.
Yeah.
I don't know if but one of the first things you ever told me, you said my job is for you to be the best you can be, even if that's greater than me. You said I'm gonna put everything that I know in you, so you can go do whatever it is supposed to be. And you said you used the words you're gonna be greater than me. You told me that.
Mm-hmm.
You told me that from day one.
And that's I mean, but that's how it's supposed to go as a father. Like, how does a kid, and that's the issue today, is that our kids are not superseding their parents. Like, we're supposed to be a stepping stone to the next level. I should have been a stepping stone from my father's next level. I should have been, and I was. You know what I mean? My father never graduated from college. Actually, I was the first in my family to even graduate from college, let alone have multiple degrees. But I don't know, but entrepreneurialism was deep in my family. My father was, his own business. He had his own tow truck company. He had his own Glass Black Lane company, a skit, whatever company for skits and whatever. He was always working for himself after a post office job. But so that was innate in me, I think, entrepreneurialism. So with you, it was just more so I had a passion, man. Like, somebody asked me one time at church, because I used to work for St. Anthony Villa, and which is a detention facility and these kids used to go to church with me on their breaks. Some Sundays they would petition to go with me, and my pastor, the great Bishop James, say, be like, you got a gift with kids, and it kind of led me to what I'm doing today based on his tutelage. He said, you got a gift with these kids, and the reason why I identify with them so much is because I did a lot of their crimes that they was doing, that they're locked up, and I've never been locked up. And I'm like, nobody's that slick. You know what I'm saying? When people say, I'm just so smart and so slick. No, man, you're grace. God's grace. Mm-hmm. Grace is who he wants to grace. And I just really felt like God kept me from jail, death, because I had a greater purpose. And he knew I was going to utilize that grace to do great things. So when I saw these kids, I'm like, hey, I actually was worse than some of these dudes. And these dudes in here, like, locked up. And they would talk to me, and I'd stay up at night, and I would read them scriptures, and they would ask me to break them down and what it meant. And, they would put their guards down with me, like, man, Mr. Tribbles, was cool. I could talk to him and blah, blah, blah. So they started wanting to go to church with me. So when they went, some of them would break down at the altar and be crying for God, and people seeing it's like, you good kids now. You can get paid for that. Like, taking care of these kids. And I had to be like 26. I'm still fairly young. And I'm like, dog, I felt offended. Like, this is my job as a young man to give back to those that are broken. Why would I want a monetary gain from that? It's its own reward. I don't need money. And I got upset about it. But as time progressed, that's how God moves. Like, as we operate in our purpose and the things he designed for us to do, money just comes. Like, for years, he told you, like, what Trib do for a living? Like, what is this person? Because this dude got this. He's got a house on the lake. He's got cars, jet skis. Like, what is going on with him, man? We don't never see him work. They don't have a job. But that's how God is. He's so amazing that it does my life seem flawless. Like,
and that was an example to me too,
yeah,
as well, because growing up, you know, my dad sold drugs.
Mhm.
My biological father sold drugs. That my family, that's all I seen a lot of that.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I had access to. So I'm thinking this the way. But when I meet you, and you got everything that they got, but you loving on God, doing the right thing, and you don't have to worry about the police coming.
Yes, sir.
You don't got to, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, this the route I got to go.
Right.
I ain't trying to get locked up. My day he in jail now. You know what I'm saying? Like this the route that I want to go. I want to have the clean slate,
Right.
but still have everything that I want and desire in my heart. You know.
And you know what? I knew that early on because you know my brother was into some stuff. My older brother was into some street stuff. You know what I mean? And I saw the shine. But he also did 7 years federal time. So I'm like, I'm not no jail person because I would be a lifer. Because I'm not the type of dude that's gonna bow down to nobody. You know, I had a Napoleon complex being short early on. So if I go to jail and these dudes try me, it's gonna be a problem. So I wanted to stay out of that because I probably wouldn't get out. So, so when I met God, I knew what people liked the street stuff. Everybody liked it. Everybody liked the street guy. I mean, it's just what it is. It's a little more swag, cool, and whatever. So you know, I dabbed in it a little bit. You know what I mean? Play with it, but I'm like, I'm too scared for that jail stuff. I can't. You know, that ain't for me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, nah. So when my mom wrote me that letter and I started going to church and when I realized what I wanted to do as far as reach the youth, that's the first thing I asked God for. Give me what the drug dealer, and I'll win more souls for you than he takes. That was my, agreement with God. And I didn't have no idea, 6 Mercedes down the line, 2 Escalades, Range Rovers, $750,000 house on the lake. I mean, I didn't know. I mean, because I didn't come from that. So it's like, this was new. I'm first generation, all of this. So as much as y'all was like, whoa, I was like that too. Like, you know what I'm saying? They pulling up, you already know. Yeah. Like, I'm at Jim Jackson's house gambling, and they like, you have heard this detective in there talking about some drug dealers that just moved into the quarry. Like, you was driving my Benz.
I was driving all the whips at a very since I could drive.
You know what I'm saying? And they see us, we about the same height, so they like, it's 2 guys, they live together. One's got an Escalade, the other one's got a Mercedes, and they just moved in the
Not knowing they are your cars, but they thinking I'm
right. So it was something new. It was like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, I was still fresh to it. It's like, man, but it never was like I'm that guy based on the material things I had because I never could lose focus of why it was there. It was there as a reel for y'all. Because I remember when I first pulled up on Don, I pulled up on him it was my 3rd Mercedes, I believe. It was an S600 V12. Woo.
That was nice.
That boy was pretty. I pulled up in front of his house on Lincoln, and he was like maybe 14 years old. He was like, who was you, bro? Like, who was you? Like, this dude pull up in this car. Like, I ain't never seen this car before. And you talking about youth program. Like, nigga, you sell dope, man. No way. I don't know nobody like that. So it was just funny, but I was just like, I loved it because I was me, man. I never seen nobody like me, like doing that. I get in the diamond chains and the Rolex watches that you stole, by the way.
I gave it back to you.
I
gave you back your Rolex. I did give it back. Look, no, I ain't steal it. You let me work. I know you went there. That's why I gave it back to you. Because you know that's the work you did to me.
He married at this point years later. And one day he comes up to me with my Rolex, my presidential boy with the diamond bezel. Yeah. He comes up to me like, man, this.
Yeah, he let me wear it one time. I wore it one time, and then I had to give it back years later. Oh, man, but I kept it. I never sold it, and I could have got a lot of money for that.
You might as well kept it because as soon as you gave it back to me, I lost it.
Well, let me have it back. Oh.
I lost it. I don't know how, but it probably never made it back to Atlanta. But
that was a nice watch.
It was, but I mean, to stay on topic, it was just that, like, I don't have no love for material. The Bible talks about the love of money is all evil. And not that I don't like money. because money it gives me the opportunity to bless young men like yourself and other people. Like I ask God, and this is a honest to God truth. Like when money comes into my life, because I've been on roller coasters my whole life. Because I moved to Atlanta by faith, no job, no business, no nothing, and it took me some years to rise through the ranks. But I already believe that if you learn how to make money, it's innate in you at that point. Like you can take millionaires and take all their money, they're gonna get it back. It's just what it is. So being there with no support, with nobody, not knowing anybody but a couple people, it took me time to get back to where I'm at today. And what my question, or not question, but my words to God is that who do I bless? Who do I take care of? Who I look at? Because I don't have any kids really that I mentor there. I have a son there in Atlanta, but and that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? So I it's like God, what do I do? You know what I'm saying? I'm not rearing a bunch of kids. Those that I gotta bless, whatever. Because I don't think money is for you per se.
Mm.
It's God is a spirit, so He has to use a willing person in the earth to get His will done.
Mm-hmm.
So money is currency. A current has to be flowing, man. It ain't just about it. As a saying in the Bible about the one who buried his talent, money. Basically, buried your money. You didn't do nothing with it. You get no investment. It's no investment, no return on your investment because it's no investment. You just buried it. And I feel like that's what it is with talent and money. God gives us for me to be a conduit, which is something that is in between you and another person. Like I'm going to use you to get what I want to this person. So I tell people all the time, be careful about hoarding money or just buying a bunch of material stuff for yourself because it ain't just for you. It ain't just for your four no more either. It's outside of your family. We all are the family of the kingdom of God. That's basically what it is. And we're to share. And it gets you in trouble in relationships. I know you're married,
Mm-hmm.
but being a single man, I think that you have to be careful who you give money to as a single man to a woman because there's women for sale. They're for sale. And then you do it for them, it's like and I've fallen for the okie doke. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean? I quote unquote claim I've never paid for it, but technically I have.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? By knowing that if I give this, that, I'm gonna get away with whatever. So, it's an ongoing process. I ain't perfect. I've made mistakes. I'm still a work in progress. But what helps me is still giving back, like the Pass the Torch program here.
Mm-hmm.
When it came to my mind about passing the torch and whatever, you the first person that came to mind when Jonathan James called me. He basically just gave my flowers. I appreciate it. This is something I needed at the time, honestly. I've kind of buried my hand in the sand like Moses. I feel like I went to the backside of the mountain. I had kingship here in Toledo, moved to Atlanta, to rebuild, and no one knew me. And, it's rich cats all over Atlanta. So, I mean, it was like, I'm a peon down. It was just like, but it was time for me to be nurtured and learn and built back up a certain way. Because I was first time I've ever been on on a bus in my life, other than a school bus, was in Atlanta, and the people that I got to see on the bus, I have a big heart, so it's like help everybody. Struggle, all kind of grocery bags all up her arm, pushing a stroller with a kid on her back, and like, dude, nobody should have to live like that. Like, what can I do for this lady, like, to change her life? That's always been my focal point, and it's been hard. I mean, I want a wife, and I want a wife because a lot of that reason because my kindness gets taken for weakness a lot, even in dating. Like women, that's what I'm supposed to do, and you know, because we're dating, you got the ones that have their own, and they don't like the fact that I'm not dependent. Them, it's just the dating pool. It's different. It's different out here, man. It really is different. I'm cool, really just on it. To be honest with you, good. I'm seasoned. It happens, it happens. Trusting it. But I've always looked up to you in that regard. Not, I mean, because you, like I said, you've always been a strong person. You know, a strong man. Um, Always respectful, but you know, even more so, I love the way you love on your wife.
Want some marriage, baby.
And I'm gonna let him give his accolades because he's got. I forgot about that. He's got a marriage show too. He's doing everything. But um, as a father to you, you know, things that affect you affect me. So early on in your marriage, when I saw different things, what I thought, or you know, you vent to me about some stuff like you should, and my response to a lot of that as an unmarried divorced guy was like, oh no, you're a man, and then you know, I don't know if you recall, but I would call you later and be like, dude, I apologize, like, dude, don't listen to what I say because I'm not married. That's probably why, and I respect the fact that you are man enough to go through whatever it is because you love your wife, and that was huge. And as this being a man show, what would you say is your guiding force to be able to, you know, lay down sometimes when you feel like you're right and your wife is wrong, and or she's done something that angered you and you felt like you shouldn't have to do X, Y, and Z or whatever. What kind, as a man, because I feel like you are a man and the way you handle things is definitely manly.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of us, we handle it with the iron fist. Like, she gonna listen to me. I'm the man. I'm a da 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 da. But I like the way you humble yourself and how you serve your wife.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things? I mean, how is that?
Well, I do believe that you cannot do marriage without God. I think marriage is a godly act, and it requires God to have the best life in marriage that you want. I think that's in regular life too, but particularly when I'm talking about marriage, this is the motto that I live by. I don't know all the answers. I still mess up. I still make mistakes, but I know who I'm going to for the answers. So when in my prayer, in my meditation, or in my answers to my wife, if I don't know, I'm gonna ask God to show me and let Him give me the answers. And then that's what my wife falls in line with. She know that I'm gonna go to God, so she listens, or because she know that it's coming from Him. Now, when I tell her what Deontay wants, that's the battle.
That's the battle.
When I tell her what Deontay wants, you ain't but when I know what God said, and I tell her, it ain't no problem with that. You know what I'm saying? So that my advice about a marriage would be like include God in everything you do.
Well, I would say, so what's the name of your marriage?
It's called Moss of Marriage.
Moss of Marriage, is it a podcast or is it?
It was a TV show.
Okay.
So what we did, we got the first season on YouTube. You can go watch it. Called Moss of Marriage. So where we interview married couples that tell us their love story, how long they've been married, any skills, tools, or advice about marriage that they want to share. Because, you know, we was like the first people in our families to get married. So when we got married, because of who we are, you know, she was doing her thing, I'm doing my thing. They knew who we was, but we got together, it became like a thing. So we quickly became this example of marriage to all our, you know, my family, her family, and they like, hey, we get married. Tell us about marriage, and we like, shoot, we Google marriage. We don't know. We figured it out too, but we wanted to stay together. So we started looking for resources, skills, tools, because we wanted to stay together and we wanted to share that with our family. But it got bigger than our family. It linked to our friends, then it would link to the community. And they're like, how y'all doing it? Oh, y'all look, man, why y'all so happy? You know what I'm saying? So we just wanted to not do marriage alone, just keep it to ourselves. There are times that you got to be private, but you got to let everybody know who you with too at the same time. So we wanted to share that with the world and other couples.
That's what's up. And your wife is also a doctor too, right?
Yep. Yeah, so, she got hers first. Okay. And I thought when I got mine, she wasn't gonna be telling me what to do and stuff. That's why I was like,
that ain't never gonna stop.
You watch the
you can forget about it. That's never gonna stop. So Deontay, you know, we know you married, we know you're a doctor, we know that you're an actor, we know that you have a show with marriage. What else? We know you have a youth program that me and you do together. Passing the torch with Mike Jones. We don't want to forget about Mike Jones in the building. Mike Jones. What else is it you do, man? Who's like? If I ask if somebody say, who is DeAndre Moss? Who is Dr. Moss? What would you personify yourself at?
In this moment, I want to say your son.
Oh man, that's
because you've been the biggest part of my life that helped me get on track, and I needed you at a time when God gave you to me. That blessed me tremendously, and I never take that for granted. So, whatever you say, what makes me most happy today is you calling me your son, telling me you love me every day, calling me, checking up on me, talking to me. I'm very appreciative of that because it's what I needed. And even to this day, I still love to hear it. And you never stop giving that to me. I'm very appreciative of that. So today, if anybody asks me, I'm Trib's son.
Oh man, got some tissue over there, my guy. That's what's up. I didn't expect that answer at all, brother. That means a lot to me, man. I mean, in more ways than one. I do have a biological daughter that suffered based on my giving to other young men, and not always being there for her because of my work here in Toledo. So, but I appreciate that, man, because that means a lot. Because that's all that's all as a father is all you want. I beg my daughter for cards and just kind words is what I mean to her, and it's a struggle. It's a struggle, and I get it. I mean, she angry at sometimes. Sometimes she's not. Matter of fact, I'm putting together a trip to go to San Diego. Where she's married, living there now, here soon. But I appreciate that, Deontay. But it's so much. Whew, that work that we still have to do.
Mm-hmm.
We did some school visits today for some young men, and just getting a chance. Like I'm sitting here with my son. Like we here doing a program together in the school, and I'm vibing off him, he vibing off me, and we just it's I'm full. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm full. Like I go back to Atlanta, Friday, whatever, and I go back full, like I'm good. Like I don't need to work, even though I have the business there and I'm, renovating and building houses, what have you. My work is really here. You know what I'm saying? This work because I'm touching young people, I'm touching men. And I said even when it started that this is not just for the young people, because it's people my age that still never got the memo of what manhood is and what it is and still never found purpose. That you can still find purpose. Until you 6 feet deep, you can find purpose. I don't care if you're sick in the hospital before you get out of here. It's something that God purposed for you to do to those people in the hospital, to the nurses. It could be a word. It could be something you left them or something you write down. You never know what. Like I didn't know what I say to you like that affects you like that. I don't know. It's just how I feel. So I'm gonna tell you. So you don't know how what you do affects a person. So I'm just being me. That's why when you feel something, and I like to say it's not you. It's the Holy Spirit within you telling you to do something. Anything that's good, that's right. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that is God-inspired stuff. And we need to move forward and quit worrying about not having. It's so many times that I didn't have it coming up. And God says, sow it. And I'm like, well, man, I don't know how I'm gonna eat. This ain't, I don't even, he said, but if it's not enough to pay your bills, it's a seed. So sow that seed. And the seed don't necessarily have to be money. It could be you picking somebody up and you only have enough gas to get back and forth to work, but you're gonna do it anyway because the person needs. It's just what it is. People don't want to serve people no more. It's a lost gift because it's really an honor to serve people. If Jesus Christ showed anything in the word, he showed that he served others. And he didn't have to. You saw him turn water into wine. You saw him heal the blind, heal the sick, the dead, rose the dead from. He was obviously powerful. Why would he need to serve? He was given an illustration of how we're supposed to live. This is how you get. You give to get. Give to get. We live in a different kingdom. The Bible and I learned this from Miles Monroe, which is my favorite author. He and orator. He's deceased now.
Yeah.
I read all his books. And matter of fact, the first book I read him was Power of Purpose. That changed my life because I never even thought about purpose at that time. I was 26 years old. I never thought about purpose. And when I read the book, it was the first time that I thought about it. Like, yeah, that's what I'm missing. That's the void. Purpose. I need purpose. So anyway, he in one of his books he explained how the kingdom of God is about a kingdom and kingship, royalty. We're part of the royal priesthood, and how like if you ever read King Arthur's Court and all that, and how kings and queens and stuff live, and all, it's a system, and everybody has a ranking, and that's what it is. God's kingdom. It's a kingdom. It's a king. He's the king, and we are all kings and queens in His kingdom. But most of us live like paupers, like handmaidens, and we don't have to. That's not our reasonable service. I mean, God put us to be royal, a royal priesthood, priestly, meaning blessing others. Slow to sin, slow to show hate towards other people, but quick to give and forgive and move forward. He's like, how many times should I forgive my brother? The Bible says 70 times 70 a day. You can't nobody even sin against you that much in a day. That he's telling sinning, like, why is that? What is good about forgiveness? Forgiveness is never for the other person, it's for you.
Yep.
When you forgive somebody in your heart and move forward like that act didn't happen, it frees you up. Because when you holding something in your heart, it's stressful. Yeah. It beats you down. You're thinking about that thing and how you want to do this. I remember the last situation I had with that I couldn't shake it for months. I could not shake forgiveness. We had a deal, and I don't even think it was legal, to be honest with you. He had me use my name and something, and I had to give my information to say I rented something from him, and he could get this money or whatever. He's like, I'm gonna give it to you, or some of it, or whatever. So I ended up going back and forth with the people, whatever, and ended up being like $17,000. So I'm like, bruh, the 17 is like, well, okay, well, you get 20% of that. But wait a minute, it was all my information, my name, my everything. You didn't tell me you was taking anything, let alone the majority. You taking 80%? Like, I'm like, well, at least give me 10 grand. Out of 17, you still make $7,000. They wanted to give me 3,000. I said, keep it all. I'm good. Because I'm not for sale. You're not going to use and abuse me. But it angered me so much because I felt like he played me like a fool. Like, you knew from the beginning you was going to try to hustle me. Like, I was having dreams of hurting this person. Not taking a life, because I don't want to pay that price with God, but I wanted to seriously maim him. Like, I was thinking, where can I meet this dude? I was getting people to find out where he be. I was going to come out and crush his knees so he couldn't walk. I mean, it was just all kind of devilish things going in my head. Like, I want to hurt this person. Like, I watch you scam other people and do devilish things to people. But me? You did me? And I'm like, and then the guy's like, dude, he's done. That's who he is. Like, what do you mean? That's where he come from. Like, why would you think you're not, like, you're obsolete? But that's how we do. We think when we see other people scamming and doing different things that they won't do it to us. That's a part of people's character, man. That's who they are. And to this day, he's never apologized. He's reached out. I don't have time. If you can't apologize and mean it and make amends, I mean, I don't have nothing to say, but it's not burning in my soul no more. Like, when I think of the person, I'm not angry, like wanting to do something to him. Because it was a time in my life I needed that bread too. I needed it. So even the 3,200, 3,500 he tried to give me, I needed it. But it was a principle for me. I'm not taking it. You about to walk away with all this money and he's gonna play me with this little crumbs? No.
Yeah, I learned that early too, watching that forgiveness is for the victim, not the perpetrator. Right. I was watching an episode of Oprah. Right. Your girl Ayanna, she gonna fix your life. You know what I'm talking about? She gonna fix your life.
Call me for the show. Right,
yep. And she hit me with the forgiveness is giving up the hope that things could have been different. You had to give up the hope that it should have went this way.
Right.
but it went this way.
It went that way. That's
You know what I'm saying? You gotta take that out there and do, because forgiveness helps us.
Okay. I'm glad we got on that topic. Look at God.
Mhm.
Forgiveness.
Yeah.
You forgave your mom
And my dad.
and your dad. And I remember conversation with you. Went to jail. I think your mom was reaching out to you about sister was ain't nothing.
Yeah, she said it was our fault.
And you was like, you was on the fence with it, like, I don't know. And me and you had a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to forgive your mom, bro.
You did.
And tell them about the scenario. I mean, just tell them how she went to jail, and then when she went to jail, what happened, and then the overall blessing that happened after you forgave her.
So my mom went to prison for prostitution and my having my little sister in the prostitution ring with her. So she did time for that. But when she went to prison, she was addicted to crack cocaine. So when she went to prison, she said it was our fault because the information got out. And she said, what happened in this house stays in this house. And a lot of people...
Typical black family.
Yeah, a lot of people agree that we shouldn't have no contact with her because that's messed up and she shouldn't have said that. But that ain't how God works. And that's the conversation that me and you had, that we battled, we talked about it, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, why is she did, this is her decision. But then I had also talked with you in Coburn, and I had found out what my mom had been going through, because I used to think it was crazy that she would prostitute her daughter, where the pimp was molesting my sister. But they was probably, I'm like, how could you do that with your daughter? But I ended up finding out my mom was conditioned. She ended up talking to me and telling me about how she was prostituted by her father. You know what I'm saying? She was molested by her father, passed around. So she was conditioned, not making it right, but I knew what I was dealing with exactly after that. I knew me and my sisters was not really leaning towards talking to my mom because she was in prison, and we knew. But after your conversation with you, I ended up getting with God, and God told me to forgive my mom. And he told me just like this. He said, you need to forgive your mom because your mom was addicted to drugs. She had an issue. She had a problem. She wasn't thinking clearly. And my mom started reaching out right after that. After you said I need to forgive her, she started reaching out to us after that. And to me, that was a sign, because now she's getting clean. She's in prison, not able to do drugs. So now she's thinking about all the wrong and everything she's doing in her life. And we're trying to fix it. And I got the revelation that if I keep pushing my mom away, when she come out, when she finally make it out of prison, she was going to go back to what numbed her in the first place, which was the drugs. But I decided to forgive my mom. And it was one of the best decisions I ever did in my life, because I got my mom back. But my mom been clean for over 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Because she's been able to, and which help heal a whole nother story with my sister. My sister got caught in a prostitution ring down in Arkansas, Fed case, Ohio tried to fence Arkansas, whatever. My sister had a lot of animosity towards my mom. Like, dang, you kind of made my life. Mom tried to hurt herself a few times. My sister, not too long ago, got caught up, overdose, passed. Next, in the bed with her guy, her boyfriend. He didn't make it. They resuscitated. Had to get her heart fixed on, murmur, everything. The first person that flew all the way to Colorado to be with my sister. And my mom nursed her back to health. Brought her back here, taking care of her. And now the person that she has so much animosity for is the person that can help her through her addictions and everything that she's been through now. That's how God works. That's how God works. You know what I'm saying? The person who brought her, helped bring her back to life, is the person that she felt like hurt her in the beginning. But that's God turning off. We can't do what God can do.
Man, that's heavy, bro. And that's my perfect explanation of why forgiveness isn't for you. You don't even know what that did. And you didn't state the fact that your mom started coming to church when she got out of prison. And I remember when she started coming to church and everybody hugging, everybody was happy. The whole church would go up, like, because they knew the story. And to see her in church with her son was like powerful.
Same thing with my dad.
And same thing, dad came.
That's what really took me to another level. Because I used to, for the longest, I used to think like, I never really needed them. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
I didn't have y'all wasn't there.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Actually, probably in a better situation now. I don't really need you, so I'm gonna be so successful that y'all gonna wish y'all was a part of my life. But that ain't how God work.
That's right.
God said, no, your job is to go back and get them.
Get them.
So when I seen my dad, you know, when my biological father, I seen him in the corner store. He didn't know who I was. I died that day because I'm like, how you don't know your kids? You know what I'm saying? Like, God, you don't know who I am? Yeah, sir. You know, I'm in the corner store. I'm like, so I was mad. We ended up getting into a fist fight at my grandmother's house because he got out of prison. I'm staying with her. And I felt like the only reason he recognized me because my nana did. So we ended up getting into a fist fight. He got the best of me. But I got older. I'm like, he ain't gonna do what he did to me when I was, you know what I'm saying? But he was always a big dude. He was in prison. He had little legs though. I thought I got good legs. But anyway, make a long story short, I would see him at a corner store later in life as an adult coming back from Germany when I lived in Germany. Seen him in the corner store, came out. I'm like, what's gonna happen now? Is we gonna fight again? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I ain't little no more. I got something for you, right? He started crying as soon as I came out the corner store and started telling me all the stuff that he heard that I was doing in my life. Heard they found my sister. Heard I had a daughter. Heard I graduated. He's all this. He's like keeping tabs on me. I didn't even know that he knew any of this information. I didn't know he know anything about me. And he was like, "Can I just come to church with you? Can I just hang out with you? Can I just call you? Can I get your number?" Because I've been working on that forgiveness piece. I forgave him. He started coming to church with me. What took me to the next level and helped change my life significantly. One time we was in church. I took him to church with me. We came out of church. Spirit was high. We got in the car. He said, "Son." I said, at this point, I ain't even comfortable calling him dad. I just always say, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir." You know. He said, "Teach me how to be a man." I said, "What?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "All my life I had issues, I had problems, I had drama I didn't know how to deal with. That's why I sold drugs, used drugs, and then out of prison." He said, "But you had trauma in your life. You had drama, and you a real man. I want to serve the God you serve. Teach me how to be a man." And from that moment, it took me to another level because I knew that my purpose on earth wasn't to be so successful that they felt that they wished they was a part of my life.
Right.
It was like I was the Joseph in the Bible. I was the Moses for the generation. I had to go back and get my family so I can show them the right way to go. And that changed my life. I knew my success was to help my family and not destroy it.
Listen, y'all. I mean, I wish we had all day to talk about. I told you this brother deep, and he got so many more stories and so many. So I'm gonna have him back on the show because he's in a testament what passing the torch is all about. You heard what he just said, and that I want to end that with that's manhood. Being able to identify and recognize what God is saying. Because we're the head, we're the men, they're the headship. We're supposed to hear from God and deliver to the family, deliver to our kids. And here he is, the kid delivering to the father, like, because he was in tune. I mean, at some point in life, it exchanges. You go from the child to the parent as they get older. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to go to my mom for all kind of wisdom and stuff. My mom is slowing down now. You know what I mean? She's starting to come to me for help. Like, son, this is it. And eventually I'm going to be taking care of her. That's just how it goes. That's part of manhood. So I'm glad we ended on this note about what you did and what happened. And it's only by your belief in the G-O-D, God, having him first. Because you cannot truly, in my opinion, you can't be a man without understanding who the true man is and following his lead.
You're not going to have your best life.
You don't have your best life, definitely. So women that's listening, if the man that you like, the man that you fooling around with, yo sneaker link, or whatever he is to you, ain't serving him, you can forget about it. It's just a fun time. And how many more years do you have just to have fun times without really walking in purpose in your design for living? It's good men out here. We're here. And we're learning. We're striving every day. Deontay's married, so I'm sorry. His one's gone. This one gone.
Moss and married, baby.
But it's other great men out here that's seeking God's face, that's looking for a great woman. And that's it, y'all. This is Pastor Church, another great episode. Thank you, Deontay. DeAndre Moss for being on the show. We used to say all the time, I said, Deontay got this name that we're going to create a car. It's like, it's going to be Deontay. Sitting on Mosses. Thank you. See you later. Man, this episode was so good. I don't even want to cut up